Are you tired of watching shows that only give you general social media theory and expect you to figure out how to apply it to your own industry? Join us for this week's episode of Social Chatter, the industry's longest running social media marketing news talk show. Not only will you learn the latest breaking news, but you'll also gain practical advice on how to apply it. Now here's your host, Christian Karasevich.
Hey there, everyone. We're back for another episode of Social Chatter, my weekly social media marketing news talk show. This is episode 276. I'm always excited to do these shows because there's always something new to talk about in the land of social media. You know, this week we're going to be discussing a number of Instagram news topics. Primarily, we're going to be talking about a new feature. It's Instagram Content Publishing API. You know, that might seem really boring, really techie to a lot of people. But what we're going to do is we're going to break down what that is and what it actually means for you as a business if you're looking to schedule Instagram posts. Now, in addition to that, we're also going to be talking about a new feature. And I don't know, I kind of want to say this is like a tattletale feature. It's called Birdwatch, Twitter Birdwatch. So, you know, it's a community feature, but we're going to be talking about that. In addition, we've got a nice acquisition by Twitter. There's been a lot of acquisitions so far here at the beginning of 2021. But what I'm going to do real quick is I'm going to go and bring on my co-host this weekend. My co-host is new. You've not had her. We've not had her on the show at all yet. We're going to make sure we definitely have her on as a guest, but she's filling in for Jem, who had a last minute appointment, and also my backup Phil as well. You probably recognize both those from previous episodes, but this is Sarah. Sarah, how you doing?
Hi, good morning. I'm doing great. Watching the snow fall out the window and having some caffeine with you guys.
Fantastic. So do me a favor. Can you just tell our viewers just a little bit about yourself?
Sure. I'm based in Northern New England. I work with small businesses and nonprofits on their content marketing. And that can mean anything from web to email to social to events to public relations, but most importantly, what serves their business goals. So I do some strategic planning with them around that as well to make sure that we use the right tools at the right time.
Fantastic. So, I know we've got a guest. I mean, he's in the running basically for like, I think Troy, I think you've been on the show quite a few times as well. I know you're competing with Scott Ayers and Dorian Moore Van Dam and Juliet Stapleton, a few other people as well that we've had on quite a bit. But we've got our guest this week, Troy Sandidge at Find Troy. I know I always enjoy having him on because he's extremely knowledgeable and he always shares just fantastic information, very practical tips. It's not just, hey, here's the high level fluff information, you know. So we've got Troy on. It looks like you also have a new setup as well, but I'm going to let you tell people about yourself. What are you up to? And let's make sure we unmute. Let me unmute Troy 1 second. There you go, Troy. Let's see. Hopefully. There you go, Troy. Go ahead.
All right, can you hear me?
We can, yeah.
Okay, you know, live streams, Mike is just being crazy. So I'm Troy Sandidge. I'm happy to be back on. I'm a growth marketing strategist. I'm the chief strategy officer for Volt Lab, which is an integrated marketing communication firm. I'm also the owner of my own Strategy Hackers, which also is a strategy consulting firm. So I'm all about strategy, helping you grow in different mechanisms and strategies and tactics. So let's just have some fun. I'm ready to be here.
Fantastic. So, Sarah, I'm going to let you kick things off. Where do you think we should start from a topic standpoint this week?
I think one thing that everybody has wanted to talk about forever is Instagram API for scheduling posts.
So tell me, what is this? I mean, like, okay, so like I said at the beginning, I mean, when you talk API, a lot of people look at this and they're like, I don't know what that means. They just want to be able to use whatever that functionality is. But I don't know, do you want to break that down maybe for our viewers?
Sure. It allows, what it's going to do is allow business pages, business accounts to schedule their Instagram posts through third-party apps. Instagram's allowed people to schedule posts through Creator Studio, Facebook Creator Studio, for a long time. And if you haven't checked out Creator Studio, I have to say, I kind of like it. It's quirky, but I kind of like it. What this is going to allow is for services like Hootsuite, Sprout Social, Agora Pulse to allow people to schedule their Instagram posts instead of just creating your drafts and then getting the reminders, hey, this is what you're going to post at this time. It's actually going to let you schedule the post and it will push right out to Instagram.
Fantastic. Yeah. And so I know, are there any limitations to this?
There's a lot, actually. And this new API actually has fewer features than Creator Studio. So it's going to allow you to create a post, only Instagram feed, and it's only one photo or one video. So no carousels, no stories, but at least it's a step forward.
Yes, I love that. It's it's a step forward. Troy, what do you think as far as a business like use case? Like, do you think a business can use this feature or should use this feature? What's your take?
I think they should be using it already. The extra step of me sending it to my phone and sending it at least is keeping you accountable for creating consistent content. Even now, this is just going to make it a little bit easier for you. But if you're kind of late to the bandwagon, you're like, Troy, why should I do this? It's really about creating consistency and retention. And I think, and I wrote this down, I want to read this really quick. Consistency is your best friend when it comes to social media. Being consistent in your post frequency is really important in order to grow a social media audience. And it's like a relationship. You got to keep showing up. You got to keep, and I get it. You're busy. You're doing multiple things. You're wearing multiple hats. If I can guarantee you that you can always have the consistent flow to your audience that can generate leads, bring brand awareness, make people smile and happy, make sure that you're alive, that you're real, that you're doing your thing. That's just going to make you more authority and have more power in the long run.
Definitely. And another thing also to that, by the way, is just the fact that, like, if for example, if something's not working or it doesn't seem like it's working, I know a lot of people, they get frustrated, I guess. Maybe they get frustrated with the fact that something's not working, that, it's not moving at the pace they want it to move. And the thing is, you can't just like keep doing the same thing, like throw it against the wall, like throwing a rubber ball against the wall, for example. It's going to come back, but like, it's not necessarily going to do exactly what you want immediately. And so you as a business, you need to always be not just consistent, but like be patient as well. And you have to also think of it like this. If, for example, you're not getting customers, coming into your shop, for example, you're not getting people reaching out for like opportunities. Don't be afraid to try something different. And then also make sure you look at your consistency, because we look at business, people they have a very specific process of doing things and they want things to work that way. However, if, for example, you're showing up, get a hold of you, and then they try to get a hold of you and like it's, you're not consistently there for the business, then the business is going to look elsewhere, I think. Sarah, what do you think?
I think that's true. And with Instagram, people have really wanted to be on Instagram and to use Instagram, but the scheduling hurdle has been very difficult. Even as small businesses, nonprofits, whoever you are, your social media managers, and many times that is the business owner on a Saturday afternoon when most of your clients are using Instagram. Because your metrics are telling you this, and you should be checking your metrics if you're not. Your metrics are telling you people are on Instagram. This is a great time to post, but you are so busy with your business that you don't have time to use that alert and to post to Instagram right at that moment. This scheduling tool lets you do that, which is terrific. And me being a beleaguered social media manager myself, I get a Saturday afternoon off, or I don't have to wake up at 6 a.m. on a Sunday morning to make that Instagram post. And I can just go about my weekend because everything is scheduled.
Definitely. Go ahead.
I was going to say, that's not to say you still need to have social listening going on and making sure that there's nothing significant happening in your market that you may need to unschedule posts.
Definitely. No, that's a very good point. And to that point as well, if I'm a business, like, and this is the interesting thing, like when you look at why they rolled out Instagram scheduling for business posts, yes, you can already do a lot of this in Creator Studio, but it opens the door for those third-party tools, the Agora Pulses, the Sprout Socials, the Hootsuites. But the other thing this also does is they roll this out primarily for businesses because, and you have to this is where you as a small business need to think like a big business. A big business, everything is planned out. It's there's a specific let's see, what's the word? There's a cadence. So everyone is, as a big business, you're doing things in step with your other, with other departments, with other employees, things like that. However, if you're a small business and you don't have that, and it's just you, or maybe you and maybe one other person, you still need to be operating, or at least try to operate as a big business does, which is get your content planned out. That might mean, for example, and you mentioned this earlier, I think it actually even comes down to time, like time management. If a business is so busy trying to run the business and they don't have time for the social, well, then they need to either outsource it, or they need to actually spend the time looking at how much time they're spending on things and see, how can I adjust this time so that it is, it might free me up for just a little bit more time to spend towards the social side, because there's definitely a big payoff there. Anything else you guys want to add on this topic?
I would say planning just a few hours a quarter to plan out. You're already planning out so many other aspects of your business. Make your communications plan as well, so that you're not sitting on a random Tuesday saying, what am I going to post? You can actually go to something that you have already worked on and put the thought and time into. And that way, when you are so busy, it's just a matter of saying, oh, this was my great idea a month ago. Let me implement it today. And now I can get back to what I need to do with my business today in real time, so that you don't have to sit and use all of that mental energy to come up with something new. You've already planned it out.
Definitely. Troy, what do you think? Anything else you want to add about this?
I would just echo to both your points, like time is the most expensive commodity that you have. And those who are very successful in business, no matter big or small, they're using their time efficiently and effectively. So use this time to plan out and get ahead. And here's the thing, you're going to, we echoed, it's going to have a really strong brand story. It's going to have an amazing cadence, but also it's going to empower you to reach more people and have a stronger authority while you're doing other things. And then also don't mind that you also create content in real time at certain moments and intervals to really elevate things even further. So use it to your advantage for sure.
And one last thing I want to add real quick before we switch over to another Instagram topic is that, if, for example, if you think social's hard, like social does require work, it requires putting time in. So if you're, for example, trying to do it all yourself, you want to make sure that like don't all of a sudden say, well, hey, you know what, I'm going to post 7 times a week, for example, if you can't even get one post out a week, for example, right now. And I also like to give the example of like a conveyor belt. So once you step on the social conveyor belt, you can't stop. If you stop, you're going to fall flat. And what I mean by that is, if, for example, if it's Instagram and you start trying to build your presence there, once you start posting there and you stop doing it, you're going to affect the algorithm. So you want to make sure, you know what, don't try to go for 7 at once. Maybe try once a week if you're not doing any, or maybe you're doing once every 2 weeks. Scale back or move it down to 1 per week, and then grow from there. At that point, like as you start to see traction, maybe try it once a week, and then hey, maybe go to like twice a week, and then look at your analytics, as Sarah mentioned. Okay, so that's Instagram content publishing API, basically Instagram business post scheduling. Where do you want to go next, Sarah?
Well, since we're on Instagram, why don't we talk about the Pro Dashboard? Because there's a lot of great features in the Pro Dashboard.
So what is this? A Pro Dashboard? I mean, like
a Pro Dashboard. So Instagram I think we all know, Instagram has 2 different types of accounts. Well, 3 different types of accounts now. They have a personal account, then there's a business account, and then there's the other third creator account. But let's talk about business account. It doesn't matter if you are a person or a business, you can have an Instagram business account. In fact, I did this on my personal Instagram account just to see what the metrics are.
Yeah.
And what happens is you get this professional dashboard that pops up that consolidates all of your insights into one place.
Okay.
I find it's a little difficult to move through. I've been playing around with it a little bit over the course of the last week and noticed that it's a little hard to see some of the pieces. I'm more of a desktop insights reader, to be honest.
No, I agree.
What I really like, what they've done is they've packaged a lot of resources into this dashboard. So it's an immediate place where you can read ways to grow your business, to grow your following, how to read some of the insights that you're watching. It's almost like, I think some people may be familiar with WordPress dashboards. Sometimes you get a tutorial pack on your dashboard for your website, it's the same kind of thing. It's like a little tutorial pack from Instagram so that all of your news and information is right there to help you. And as you're scrolling, if you're scrolling personally and just out of interest, this gives you a place to also get some of that knowledge while you're just maybe even some leisure time on your phone.
Yeah. So like this also, I mean, I think we talked about this before the show, but this looks very Facebook-like as well. What do you guys think? Like minus the home screen.
Oh yeah, most definitely.
Yeah, most definitely. The assimilation is happening.
It is, yes. So Troy, what do you think about this one? Are you excited about Instagram professional dashboard? What do you think?
I mean, I think it helps with credibility. If I'll be honest, if you're an Instagram marketer and you have those type of clients, because there's some out there who just need to see the data, they just want to see the visuals and just see things moving. They may not understand it all, but they want to see something there. Now, when they're able to log in, or you cross-reference with them, it's just an all-in-one place thing. And I think it also helps to have tips there. It reminds me of Google My Business interface in the back end sometimes, where it'll show the data points, but also like tips of how to process or run this. So you use this kind of as maybe a tool that help you explain data to other folk, or if you just want to use specifically Instagram's words to say this is what we prefer or the best strategy, that just empowers you to have a better communication, better dialogue, and hopefully you have clarity around what you're trying to get through as far as Instagram marketing results.
Very cool. Yeah, and go ahead, Sarah.
It's a great place if you're working with a client and they can't figure out where are my insights buried, which button is it, which menu do I have to be on. You can just say it's the blue words right at the top of your profile.
Definitely. So let me do that. Let me actually pull that screenshot back up. Yeah. So it's the blue words you said here at the top where it says view professional dashboard, right?
Yep. Right there.
Fantastic. Yeah, let me make sure we get that up so people can see exactly what's going on there. And and also to that point, by the way, the other thing I want to make sure to mention here is that if you're somebody, for example, who like wants to send analytics, I realize like right now on Instagram, you don't really have the ability to what's the word I'm looking for? You don't have the ability to like sort of send a report, I guess, of this. So as Sarah mentioned, by the way, it's this view professional dashboard screen here in the middle, right underneath your username. So, or Troy has it right there. Look, that's actually even sharper than my zoomed in folder photo.
And if you have a big phone like me, and this is like 6.7, then you can kind of see a little bit more than the smaller people. So,
Troy, I think we got our phones at the same place as well. What's up, twin? Yep, same phone, same case. Yep, same one. Heavy. So the other little trick, actually, I want to tell you guys about a neat little trick, actually, you can do, by the way, for taking screenshots on your phones. So like, for example, if you got like the iPhone, if you go into, and this only works on the web. So let's say you want to send somebody the entire, like, I think, Troy, I don't know if you can try this, but if you can go to like Instagram on Safari on your mobile phone. So if you can go to Instagram on your mobile phone, like not the app, the desktop, the Safari browser, you can take a screenshot. And this could be even for a website. And if you tap on the preview, it'll actually, there's a feature where it will actually give you the entire scrolled page. So I don't know if you've ever done that. So it's super handy if you're ever. Yeah. So, but yeah, we'll test it out, see if it works for Instagram.com. They may redirect you back to the site, but I know it works for web pages. What was that? Oh, it did.
It redirected me. I was like, I can't do it.
Right.
Well, it works for everything. It works for anything in the browser, at least. If you just take a screenshot, tap on the preview, and it'll give you an option to where you get just the screen, or you can get the whole page without actually having to scroll the whole page. So it's super handy.
That is really handy.
So super, like, again, I'm glad Instagram's making these updates. I mean, they're getting to the point where it's going to end up being Facebook at some point, or very similar to Facebook. But again, I mean, they're vehicles to move your business forward. So just keep that in mind.
One thing that I'm worried about with this is it's really, the interface is getting sloppy. And I know that there are some Instagram leaders right now that are saying they're getting a little frustrated with the multiple the reels, the IGTV, the stories, the videos in the feed, that they're using too many bells and whistles. So I'm wondering if this is going to consolidate at some point, right? We may not have that blue view your professional dashboard across the top, because aesthetically it's a little clunky, right?
Yeah.
And so I think it will probably disappear to some other place within the app, because aesthetically it's just getting really cluttered. And if you actually jump into Creator Studio, or you go into Facebook now has these new publishing tools for business, it's such a clean interface. There's so much white space. There's very simple icons and text that I think Instagram just needs to catch up with that, and they will.
Yeah, no, definitely. And again, I mean, this is a good move. I mean, the good thing is we're seeing something happen. Like, we're seeing them make some of those changes. And I will say, I mean, you know, if they all of a sudden just like rolled out a whole bunch of stuff on Instagram, it could be very overwhelming for people, you know. And so they're trying to, in a way, if you have to think about it like this, they're taking one large company and they're trying to merge it with another large company or a large user base. And they know they can't keep everyone happy, obviously, but they have to try to do their best to bring things together as best they can. And that could take a little bit of time. So keep that in mind. So I like this update. So what else is next, Sarah?
How about we go to Birdwatch?
Yeah. So Birdwatch, do I need to get like my binoculars out? What do we got going on here?
Birdwatch. So this is Twitter's answer to false information on their platform. I think all the social media platforms are looking at the spread of misinformation and what is their role in this. We've been talking a lot about freedom of expression and free speech and hearing different views, yet there has been a lot of misinformation being spread across the web. You know, there's that joke, I saw it on the internet, it must be true, right? So now these companies are taking steps to combat some misinformation, because we have so many people now who are questioning facts. I mean, we have flat earthers again, right? So Twitter is trying to crowdsource information sharing. Unlike, we can talk about what Facebook has been doing around this later, but Birdwatch is starting this consortium of users who will provide information, dispute things that may be false information, and be very transparent about it too. They're allowing people to add notes to what they think are false posts. People can read the whole string of notes. And I don't know where this is going to go. Who has time to write notes about every tweet they see, and who's going to care enough? So I'm really concerned about the diversity of voices that we're going to get around Birdwatch.
Definitely, this is a very interesting feature. I mean, so I could see that. Here's the thing. I think I almost want to say this is almost like a gig economy job. Like, you know how Facebook has hired people to like watch, for example, like Facebook, you know, has people that watch the videos to approve them and so forth. I almost see this being kind of the same thing. Like, hey, somebody flags it, and then like customer support is going to still be huge for a business, I think. Troy, what do you think on this one?
Yeah, you already know I literally live on Twitter. So I'm going to have like a whole thing on it, but I won't go that right now. My first thing, I love the name. I'm a sucker for good strategic names. I love it. Yeah. But my concern is it gives me like a Google Scholar vibe meets Twitter. And, you know, how is this going to be regulated? Serious point. Are we going to have diverse voices on? And we can have people who, in their own way, serve as a troll of trying to lower the tone or lower the value of this piece by outsourcing and adding more news sources to put their point across. Like, is this going to be regulated in a way where it's just the facts? And now you as a viewer can determine that. But also, if I'm on Twitter, I'm not going to type in Birdwatch as a separate viewpoint, and every time I see something, go compare it. That's just too many steps. Now, I get that's the first phase. Eventually, probably integrating in there more so. But I don't think it's really intentional for the basic Twitter user. I really think it's for people who are trying to make decisive decisions of what they should do as content. I work with people in government. I work with people who are in PR who really need to make sure they're getting the right information out on behalf of their clients, on behalf of their businesses and constituents. And so that might be an initial value point. I do not think at this time, unless your business or infrastructure is very determined on what happens in DC, what happens in a higher sense of trends from a global perspective, you probably won't need to use this right now unless you just like to be in the weeds and educate you on those various things. But I don't think right now is going to be of use or get a lot of use cases with an average Twitter user.
No, 100% agree with that. And it goes back to Sarah's point, which is who has time to write notes on things. But at the same time, just going back into the comments here, I mean, Letitia says, hey, my mom keeps sharing stuff with me off the internet. And I'm like, Mom, that's false news. And, here's the thing. I mean, you're going to get people that are going to like say, hey, you know what, this is false news or being censored and yada, yada. But I mean, it needs to be out there. I mean, I didn't mention at the beginning of the show, this sort of feels like tattletaling a little bit, but at the same time, I mean, the information's out there and there's not, I mean, I guess maybe there's not really an overarching body that says like, hey, this has to be approved before it goes live.
So my question would be though, if so many people put their sources underneath, is there like a point where like, okay, this is clearly deemed not value or true, we're going to take it down? Or they're just going to have like an indicator saying, hey, X amount of 300 sources said this tweet is false, read it as you will type of thing.
Right.
Yeah. Go ahead, Sarah.
Right. Well, I think Twitter has been trying to be that open platform more than any others, right? The Arab Spring happened because of Twitter. And for better or worse, it's become this very open place to share ideas and links and whatever's on your mind. So I don't think Twitter should become sort of the academic approved information source either. I think it's important to have the diversity. They did make a point of really talking about their values too. And we're seeing that happen with Facebook as well, when they now have review committees that are going to look into accounts. And they're really trying to look at what's the information being shared, what are our corporate values, and what is our position as a news information source, and being now building the town squares where we all gather and talk to each other. What's our corporate responsibility? I don't see this on Birdwatch. I see it on Facebook. They've also added some of human rights policies and laws that are happening around the world, recognizing that they are a global entity, that it's not just one country, and that we have to honor the voices around the world. Yeah. So it's nice. Birdwatch does have a values tab too on their page.
And I like echo. Yeah, go ahead, Troy. Yeah, no, go ahead.
I do want to echo this very clear point that these are still private owned companies. That's also part of it too. I think these companies have grown so big. They're literally the window to the world. We're communicating everything through it. And, that's how we get business and how we connect with people, amazing humans around the world. It is just a note that it's still a private company. It's not run by government, though government influence undeniably can impact how things are being happening. It's still their private owned company. So keep that in mind as we're seeing these transitions take place. Is it a step in the right direction? Yes. Has it been a long time coming? Yes. Do we have a long way to go? Yes.
And to add to, they're a privately owned company. They're also an unregulated company. Now, when we talk about other utility companies, the phone companies, AT&T, Verizon, they all have a public trust, and they also are regulated by government entities, just like the power company is, right? Social media doesn't have that regulation. And I think we had talked about do you want me to jump in and show what Facebook? Some people may not have seen what Facebook does. Facebook, can you see this screen? So I've noticed this. Has it popped up yet?
No, not yet. So while you're doing that, one thing I did want to mention, I do kind of think this is rather unique, actually. And maybe I'm, just making this up. I don't know. But, if you guys look at the logo, I was looking through this page, and you look up in the top left, for example, there's the magnifying glass, but that looks to me like a lot like the Periscope logo, doesn't it? Like, do you guys get that same feeling? Maybe Troy.
Yeah, I do echo that, and I also see it as a bird.
And I know Periscope's going away, but well,
yeah, they're trying to integrate it back in some type of way, but they're also, to flip the script on that, they're using Periscope's infrastructure for Twitter Spaces too. So it's not technically dead; it's just being reinvented, reconfigured with audio only systems.
So, Sarah, were you able to pull that up, or?
Yeah, I've got it coming up here.
There we go. Perfect.
There
okay,
we
cool.
go.
So I'm going to bring your screen in. So let's see what we got. So right now we've got. Here we go. Yeah. So what do we got going on here?
This is, I think this is from a couple years ago. I've noticed, especially during the U.S. primary season, election primaries, midterms, and presidential election years, I start to see this. A lot of my friends don't actually see this tool that they're testing. They seem to throw it at the wall every couple of years. But when there is a post that may have some controversy to it, they actually deliver me related articles that may help support or refute whatever was shared. So I've seen it a couple of times around different things around LGBTQ rights. Someone posted something that actually wasn't true, and what fell underneath was a post from Snopes saying that this is false, and then maybe something from Politico. But they use some trusted sources that fall into this related articles feed, so that they're providing some additional information to refute what may be shared publicly with folks. So Facebook has been ahead of the curve on this misinformation. They just haven't rolled it out widely.
Yeah. This is good. I mean, this is really good to see this. I mean, because a lot of people, they look at I still want to go back to like Troy's point, and I think that and I like the fact that he mentioned, they could really, if they want to make this work really well, they could just put up a set of block website domains on this. For example, anyone who's sharing Bitly, for example, Bitly links, because people misuse any sort of shortened URL like that, those could easily be unwrapped, for example, and then say, hey, you know what, if it doesn't, they can track the hops and where it goes and whatnot. But if there's certain URLs, then hey, they're not allowed, for example. If there's certain ones that are your standard one that's out there, maybe they do need to investigate some of those. But it still needs to have the ability for information to be able to flow, but at the same time, there needs to be a reporting, mechanism there, and people to do that. And back to what I said earlier, I think that you're going to end up with the same type of thing that Facebook's doing for, the Facebook videos. I think you're going to see the same thing for Twitter if they're going to want to, have better oversight of that information, having people go through and have an approved list or have them make notes. And there's going to be, a team of people. I would hope there's a team, that can go through it and say, you know what, hey, this content's not approved because of this. Actually spend the time reading the content as well, and understanding what's out there. So with that, I don't think we have any more topics, right? Right, Sarah?
I think we're out of topics. We have tools. It's the tool list.
Actually, what we're gonna do first. Let's talk with Troy. Let's talk with Troy. So, Troy, I know you have. I know you've been really busy, and now you've got your existing gig now that you're doing. I know we wanted to talk about because like I said, you always bring a lot of value to what we're talking about on the show. And I know this week Instagram has this whole content publishing API that lets a business schedule Instagram posts. But I want to talk with you. I want to have you just share what's your knowledge, what's your thought on this whole scheduling thing for Instagram posts. We know that you can use it on a professional account, but got a couple of questions for you. And the first question would be how much should a business schedule their Instagram posts? I know we talked about this at the beginning that a lot of businesses like to schedule, but is there how do you find a balance for that? I know you work with quite a few clients, but anything you want to add there? What should they do? How often?
I think 50%. I think 50% start off because that gives you a baseline, that gives you a foundation, and 50% may not be a lot. As Christian said earlier in the show, you may only post, 2 times a week. So that means one's already scheduled. That could be 10 times, that could be 15. And that's also, doing A/B testing, seeing what work, what type of content, whether it's carousel, video, and this. And one thing I want to tie in from Sarah's point earlier about maybe if you're watching or in the replay or live, is that Instagram is getting kind of crazy. It's like, oh, we got Reels, we got IG stories, we got the grid still, we got all these different things going on. And I would echo to this point that just possibly it could be because people are actually getting success on it. Is that we have more generations who are in the workforce who have the ability to buy. So it's almost appealing to whatever works for you. And that depends on your generation. That depends on, your resistance or acceptance of new technology and changes. That's another discussion for another day. But I would ask you to just consider Instagram is becoming like the new mall, where you have all these different shops, all these different things out there, but you as a consumer can choose what you want. You as the business owner can decide where you show up. So yes, if you do Reels, you will get a lot of vertical reach of people who don't know you, from people who aren't in your specific location necessarily, but it can help you with brand awareness. With that, Instagram's grid is still going to be your go-to to establish your brand cadence, your brand story, who you are and consistency, your view, and everything around you is going to be on that grid. And then IG stories for your daily consumption, your daily distribution of here's what we do, here's who we are, and everything like that. So it's also about knowing which way to approach each segment within Instagram and finding the right ones or the right combination to get the results that you want. Everyone needs brand awareness, and obviously everyone wants lead gen. So knowing which ones work with the addition of this API and not having to go, I got to schedule it, then I got to send it on my phone. I can send directly, and that's using an Agora Pulse, using Sprout Social, the buffers, and all the other third-party apps of the world. It's just going to make you more efficient and give you more opportunities to reach people that maybe you weren't able to do so before because of the other limitations in place. But I will also kind of bring this to a close, is that, again, time is the most expensive commodity that you have. And when you approach it very strategically, you're going to get the best value out of it.
And, and to that point, I mean, here's the thing. A lot of people, they don't manage their time well. Like, that's like how they were brought up, or, they've just gotten too busy. Like, how do you break away from that? Because I think that scheduling Instagram posts, I think you should get into the habit of scheduling, but it starts also with having a really sound strategy, but also having a bit of a plan in place. Not just like, hey, I'm going to throw this today and I'm going to do that today. Oh, no, I got a couple minutes today. I'm going to do this. Sarah, anything else you want to add to that response?
Sure. I think when you look at your year as a business, nonprofit, whatever entity you are, you have these peaks and valleys, and you can schedule around the peaks. If you are selling, let's say you're selling teddy bears, that Christmas, Hanukkah, Valentine's Day, Mother's Day, graduation, maybe something back to school or college send-off kind of time of year, that those are your peaks, and you can schedule around your peaks. And then when the valleys happen, when things are slower, this is when you become more creative. You tell more of your brand story. You find other ways to put yourself out there so that you're not always promoting. People expect you to have sales and to promote whatever it is that you're selling.
Yeah.
But they also want to see that you're bringing value to their lives. And so that's where the valleys come in as well. So we all talk about planning. We've all created these beautiful spreadsheets or content plans in whichever platform people want to use. And it's important to follow them, right? Especially now when we're at home. What is time? What day is it? What time is it? We have no idea. So relying on these things where you have focused your time, you have planned, you've taken a breath, and then lean on that in times where it gets really chaotic. We all talk about it because it's all true and it all works.
One thing I want to give is just in this moment some tough love. You want to get business, you got to put in the work. Honestly, Troy, I don't want to schedule. I got so many things. Guess what? Social media is the vehicle to your customers, the vehicle to what you want to get as far as revenue, lead gen goals, and everything else that you need. And you need to set time to do it, period. That's the end of the story. Now, if you're bootstrapping or you don't have the ability to get a virtual assistant or bring on an agency, this API tool is actually a benefit for you. You spend a weekend, you schedule for the month, as Sarah mentioned earlier, line it up and go with it. The more you can get out there, the more at different time periods, because people are online all the time. So it's really figuring out where it goes. But you have to really sit down, have a strategy, and go forth and actually make some effort. Do not say, oh, I don't have time. I can't do it. It's too hard. Do you want to grow your business or not? Well, you got to go through channel. And we're not advocating that Instagram is the only way to do it. Let me be clear on that. But I'm saying if you're in design, if you're in clothing, if you're a visual brand, or you know that your audience is there, then you need to put in the time, have a strategy, and go for it. And also paying for a third party to use the API with is going to be cheaper than trying to get something else. I'm not saying don't hire people, definitely hire people. But if you don't have the ability right now to do so, do and use the resources that you have available with the money that you have to get bigger results that you can, expand and grow down the road.
Right. And, and if you've got, like, for example, like, let's say you've got a family, for example, like, and your kids are more, like, say it's harder for you to learn how to use social media, for example, for your business, we're not advocating don't rely on the intern to do your work. That's the first thing. And I say that because a lot of people, they say, hey, I'm going to give my intern and let them do it. Well, what they're going to do is not necessarily going to be aligning with your business for the most part. So you would want to vet that. But I'm saying, if you're like, hey, I need somebody to teach me something, maybe ask your intern or your kids, for example, if you're at home or things like that, and see if they can help you. Maybe they'll show you some new tricks. Now, don't just take everything like at face value, like test it out, say, hey, does this actually make sense if my customer is this type of customer? Are they going to like this type of post or this strategy or things like that? But do take the time to maybe leverage some of those people. Also, I mean, if you're working from home, for example, say you have a business and it's you and it's just you and you've got kids, for example, maybe this is a good opportunity, and we're not telling you what to do, but this could be a good teaching moment to bring them into the business, for example, help them learn something. So, for example, maybe they learn, some math problems, or maybe they're learning inventory or how to build something or what your process is, for example, so you could inspire them as well, but while at the same time, maybe gaining somebody who's really good or, and really takes to it. So, Troy, got one other question for you. How can businesses be present, but still leverage these new scheduling features? Because obviously, I mean, we have a tendency like, okay, I can go schedule all this content. And let's say I do that. I want to say it's the Ron Popeil, like, set it and forget it model. Like, unfortunately, hopefully people don't do that. But how can a business still be present while tapping into these scheduling features? What do you think?
Treat it like you would a lead funnel. And if that resonated with you, you'll understand what I'm talking about. Schedule your content to lead to a really big, maybe a live thing, or you're going to do a whole series of IG stories, or you're going to have an amazing, 3-grid setup or something, or you're releasing a new video on your Instagram feed. So schedule with the intention that is going to lead to real time interaction and conversations. Also, keep in mind that when you're scheduling the content, you can still, hey, I'm going to come back later and, reply in the comments. I always like to say the party is in the comments. So if you're scheduling on content and they're seeing the comment, now you already did the work. When you're free time, when things are slow, or someone else come on, you can add comments to reply to give more value to it. So when you're scheduling your content, make sure it makes sense, make sure it leads to some type of call to action, and don't prior to the schedule, set it and forget it. Use it as ways to just try to connect with other audiences. And you know what I've seen other people do? They schedule and they talk in the time of their voice at that time. It's late, I'm up working, what do you all think? Ask me questions, or leave it in, just write in the form as if you were posting in real time. The only difference is it's scheduled and allowing you freedom to do other things versus, oh, this is a scheduled post. It's very obvious and the copy is very obvious in the delivery. And people are like, oh, you didn't try, versus, wow, they're really cranking out content. They're really giving me value at every time of the day. So keep that in mind, and it'll make you so much better as far as effectiveness on Instagram and really any other platform as well. What
do you think, Sarah? Anything you want to add here?
I would add, I would add, be very careful with scheduling. I work in the nonprofit space a lot, and I work in education too. So I sort of set a policy. We don't post when there's a school shooting because we're a national organization. We didn't know if one of our kids was in one of the schools. So I'm very careful about social listening to make sure that if anything is scheduled and something significant happens in the country that I'm in, that I take down all of those posts so that we're not seen as being tone deaf or out of touch or being offensive to people. So I'm really careful when it comes to scheduling that. So in some cases, I don't do a lot of social media management, but for the most part, I only schedule a couple of days out, and especially on weekends so that I don't have to work on a Saturday. And that's when I rely on my content plan so that I have created the content. I just haven't scheduled it yet. You can also use drafts. TweetDeck, Creator Studio, all has draft. And the thing is, you don't have to pay. I think Agorapulse is awesome, right? But some of my clients can't afford it. So I use Creator Studio for them, or I use TweetDeck, or I use Google Calendar invites so that we know when things need to be posted.
Yeah, and go ahead, Troy.
To echo to your point, sir, that's a very amazing point. My point to add to that is that sometimes it's not even as obvious as a shooting. So it's very important to have active listening, because something can be very impactful to your audience that you're maybe out of tune of, or maybe socioeconomic status or gender or BIPOC, or just where you are as far as how much you consume as a real person on social media that you're not aware. That it's just good every day to just check what my scheduled content is, what's going on in the world. Does it seem like we're good to go? Full, but like you said, Sarah, just to make sure, have that trigger ready to just shut it down if you need to. And most, if not all, platforms at this time schedule third-party applications allow you to have that cutoff switch. Hey, there's something going on in the world. I can't determine, what is, but to play it safe, I can always reschedule it later. It always will serve a purpose later. So I would definitely echo that point as well.
Right.
But by the way, you give me an idea. Well, so for starters, like TweetDeck is something people should check out. So if you're looking into using, like, if you're like, hey, I want to schedule some content out, like, you don't need to necessarily, like, we love the tools, but we're not advocating that, like, hey, you have to go get this tool, because it can be pricey. As Sarah mentioned, depending on how many channels you're looking at and what you're going to use it for. So consider alternatives. TweetDeck.com, for example, owned by Twitter. That's a great way to schedule tweets out. But also to just overall to the same point is just be mindful about what's going on. Don't get scheduling it is a great thing, but you can overschedule as well. So you want to find a very happy medium there.
Schedule for conversation, not to broadcast.
Right. Yeah. And it doesn't have to be tragedy that you're scheduling or that you stop scheduling. It can be the happy things. The Sit with Bernie avalanche, right? That's happened this last week. That's now raised almost $2 million for charities. Part of the reason why it exploded so much is this company in Brooklyn, this photo booth company, who during the pandemic can't have no one's having live events for their photo booths. So they created virtual photo booths, and they threw out, hey, you want to sit with Bernie? They just created this cute little tool where you could put Bernie on a couch or have him in his chair. And it exploded because one company was really responsive at the right time. And it created this happy moment for everybody on social media at a time that I think we really, really needed it. And everybody could participate.
Definitely. No, very good points. I mean, just great points. So what we're going to do now is we're going to move over to Act 3 of the show. And this is Tool Time. We're basically, yes. You've got Phil's his sound effect going on. I should have had him record that or something. Maybe I'll do that sometime. So what I want to do is I want to bring up 2 tools that we think can help you as a business. Which one do you want to start with, Sarah?
Let's start with green screen, since that is something that I really need today.
Okay, so it's called. So the tool is called. I'll bring this up. It's called Green Screener. and it's an app, and it's $9.99. But do you want to tell viewers what does it do exactly? Like, or why should a business use?
Right. Well, there are times where you really aren't in an ideal background. Case in point, me today. I'm not at home. I'm at a relative's house helping them out. And so my background isn't the greatest. It would be great if I had a green screen, which are super affordable, but there's still some little aspects to it that to make it the best, that you need to do. So what Green Screener is a light meter for your green screen, because when you are lit for a webcam or any kind of camera, sometimes your background isn't as evenly lit as you would like it to be. And when you add the green screen onto it, you start to get some of the wonkiness. So even though you've invested in a green screen, you've invested in good lighting, it can still look wonky as if you weren't really using good tools at all. So it gives you a chance to position yourself. The gradients that you see sort of show you where the lighting is, so that you can you either change your lighting or you reposition where you are so that you get a truly good image around you. We've all seen those bad Zoom backgrounds, right? Where you've got the weird wonkiness, you raise your hand and your arm disappears kind of thing. This helps eliminate that.
Definitely. No. And so also the other thing is, so when you're going to so there are features where you can do virtual backgrounds, for example, and this also could sort of help with that. I mean, because it does allow you to see the light patterns and the light. Like the key thing with green screens is that they're not, they're not expensive. So everybody goes and buys it, but then you do have to have the proper lighting. And the great thing is they can change, you can change where you're at, which is fine. For example, I can change the fact that like granted, I have this is a printed vinyl behind me, but it does give you the ability to like have a green screen and change it to different things. The only thing, and you can do some creative stuff with it, but a lot of times, like I have a green screen, I don't use it though. And I don't use it because then it means I'd have to have more lights. And then it's not as easy to set up unless I buy a certain kind. And for the most part, it's a green sheet or a green poster board that goes on the wall. So, if I'm a business, you just have to and I think a lot of people make this mistake. They buy the green screen and then they just they don't use it. Just kind of figure out am I going to be stationary? Am I going to be moving around a lot? Do I need to have different backgrounds, for example? The virtual backgrounds, they do sort of work, but it also then depends on the color of the clothing, what the camera's picking up and whatnot as well. For example, I know when I try to do the virtual background, my microphone will disappear, which is kind of weird, but hey, this black sweatshirt that I'm wearing won't, which is kind of strange. So what do you think, Troy? Is this do you use a green screen with any of your clients, or what's your take?
Well, I can pull one up right now in real time if I need to. Just right up here, and the whole thing will be gone. But to your point, sometimes it doesn't look complimentary. Sometimes it's just nice to just have decent lighting. And even, Sarah, your setup is still, there's a balance there that we can still see your face very clearly, and techniques and tactics with that. So if you want a green screen, I did see, if I did read that right, when you buy the app, they do have a desktop component that can maybe help when you're filming on your computer as well. So that's a nice add-on feature for only $10. And we all use his phone. So especially if you're trying to step up your TikTok game, might be something you might want to buy.
Yep. Yeah. Right. And here's the thing. It's doing, so when we also so the key terms, and I like to talk about the terminology a little bit. So green screens, people think oh, it's a green screen. And then you think oh, I'm going to replace the background. So you're doing something. So you're basically chroma keying out the background is what you're doing. That's the professional term. So you're removing the background from you, but you do have to just kind of think about what your cost going to be. For example, I think I paid $60 maybe for this roll up background. I had an image printed up. I have another one for Social Chefs. That one's much larger. I have to put that one up, but you do have to look, I guess, at space. That's the key thing. And when you do use green screens, it's going to come down to you have to, you're going to have very specific clothing you're going to need to wear. For example, my hoodie has some green in it, so I wouldn't wear that if I'm going to try to use a green screen. And at the same time, you're going to have to look at space. So lots of things to consider. But hey, for $10, the great thing about this is it'll help you evenly light that green screen so that you can easily remove the background. Personally, I mean, I like the green screens that roll up. The reason I like the ones that are like, there's some that are like, they have like a scissor jack on the back of them. So when you pull it up, it creates a tight background and it also doesn't wrinkle them. That's a big difference between, for example, the ones that are just a piece of cloth. If you don't get all the wrinkles out, you might get uneven lighting and it might not look good. So, but this app can help you figure out what you need to do to be able to evenly light your green screen so you can remove the background. Okay, so now moving into the last tool that we have this week. This is called Vidask. So, Sarah, do you want to tell our viewers about this one? What is this one?
Sure. Vidask is, when I first saw it, I thought, this is a little weird. Suddenly someone is talking to me, and is this really authentic? But as I dove into it a little bit more, I thought it was a really cool tool. So it allows you to create these little introductory videos that can then become a multi-step response for people who are visiting your website. So some of the use cases that they showed were things like lead screening. If you've ever been the poor person, I have been the poor person working at an agency who's had to screen the cold calls coming in, right?
Yeah.
Someone calling saying, I want a website. Why can't it cost $750? I'll just have my nephew do it. When they're calling a boutique firm that starts at $10,000 for a website, right? So this allows you to step through the process with people, explain something in video format. So it's a little more personal. They get to see you, your personality. They get to hear you talk. And then they answer. Then they can step into the next video clip. So you can really qualify your leads. You can ask for testimonials. I see this as a great way of doing some advocacy work as well to get people engaged. So I think it's a really interesting personal way to have survey tools, to have lead screening tools, to bring more personality to your website.
Troy, what do you think?
I think if you're familiar with Loomly, then this will really help you out. It's kind of like, Loom. Is it Loom? Yeah,
I think Loom, right? Yeah.
Loom. You're right. Loom. Within messaging, I think it'd be very useful. I think it also takes away from trying to do it in like a Facebook Messenger and other apps is really specific to that accord and can make it very personal. You can get really think and be very intentional about what you're saying, but then also have the element of video. They can hear your tone of your voice, your messaging, and pretty smooth all the way through. So I think it'd be a really good tool to generate leads and just get people more excited about what you do.
Yeah, and the other part that I want to just show real quick, let me pull this one up. And this is the part that Sarah was mentioning. It's this part. So like, if I'm going through this, like, it's not just about the fact that I'm creating a video so I'm just creating a video here. I like this part, this qualification part. This is the part that I think separates this from a Loom, for example, because if I go through Loom, and I go through and it's going to look something like this because it's going to be like person on screen. They're doing some sort of recording. The thing I really like about Vidask is this part. It's step 2. It's the ability to, this is sort of, if you think about it, it's sort of a cross between a messenger bot and a video recording, because like with a messenger bot, somebody, they're talking to a bot for the most part, or actually they are. And they have options to pick from, like, hey, do you want to sign up for my newsletter? Do you need more information, and so forth? But the great thing about here is that I'm able to connect with a real person. I'm able to see who it is I'm talking to on screen, and then have those conversations. And those prompts are already they're already kind of built in, but it's not like, oh, hey, it's not very cold like a messenger bot is. So I really like that aspect of this. What do you think, Sid? Yeah.
It's not expensive either.
No, what's the cost, by the way?
It's $20. Well, there's a free aspect. There's a $20 level, and then there's a $40 enterprise level, which is, tons of hours that you can download and brand your videos. I would wonder if this would be an interesting option for virtual learning too. Is there a place for this in the education space?
I like that.
And working with kids that may have learning differences, and where you can ask them questions in video and then they respond in video. That said, from an accessibility aspect, I didn't really see anything about captioning. No. But I'm sure that's probably, if they don't have it yet, it's most likely on its way.
I can also see this in the medical field for sure, or whether it's mental health or physical, where they're having conversations, because then it just adds a little more of a trust factor for all you WebMD users that you just want to go and check everything. I think it just allows a little more transparency, and maybe they'll believe and receive what you're saying as a professional, whether it's a doctor or a therapist, with a little bit more trust, a little bit more, okay, thank you for that. So I think just that could also be a really big market there too.
This is, I gotta say, I love the examples you all have given on this. I mean, just the fact that like the education side, I think this makes a lot of sense because, for example, also, if you kind of think about it, like if I'm a teacher, for example, and I have students that have questions, I'm qualifying those questions as well. So instead of going the old, like the normal route, which is like, hey, I have a chat with the student can then say, well, hey, I have a problem or I have a question on something, but you don't really know that because then you have to go back through all of the, comments, for example, that they might have left. Then we say, well, hey, if you have a question, send me an email, same problem. Like you have to kind of go through and search for certain words and whatnot. However, if you're using something like this, this would be a fantastic educational tool, because if I'm a business, I could go and, I'm an educator. I have all my questions pre-qualified. Like, do you need help? No, I'm good, or something like, or need help? No, I'm good. So then I'm weeding out all the people that say like, no, I don't need help. Not to say I don't want to help them, but I'm able to focus on the people that have specifically said they need help. And then that can, go, it's the conditional logic feature. So I like that. I really like that a lot. And the same thing, Troy, I mean, to your point as well, like if I'm a doctor, this would make a lot of sense as well. So that way I can have those conversations with patients, hey, here's some basic, like could get into like, here are basic things to do, but here are more advanced things that you need to do based off of, what your symptoms are and so forth. So this is really cool. I mean, and the price, I mean, it's free all the way up to $40, and, free because like there's 20 minutes of video audio processing per month versus 100 and 200 minutes. And I realize that's not a ton of time, I guess, 100 minutes of video or audio processing, but it does mean that like you want to use this sporadically and not like let it control every part of your business. So I think it's a pretty cool feature. It could be like an add-on, maybe.
Be very intentional. Just, hey, be very intentional with your time of how you want to express or give an answer to something. I think people in IT, those have a really high, customer experience use cases and everything like that. You can use it to your advantage. Really, hey, go to our FAQ page, and instead of trying to navigate through all the cues, like here's a video, here's a step-by-step of how to use our app or our program. It just, you can be very visual and be very creative with it.
Webinars, I mean, like what if this is part of a webinar series? Like somebody goes through like the initial webinar, for example, and it's like, hey, you have questions, don't just leave them in the comments of the video. Hey, this is where like you could have like this is at the end of the webinar, like, hey guys, thanks for watching the webinar. If you still have questions, here's, where I want you to go. If you're good, it could direct you back to your product dashboard. Just a lot. I love this. I really do. I mean, I like just the examples you all gave, and I think a business could really use this. And I mean, here's the thing. It's free. It's free to get started, 20 minutes. So why not test it out? It's got some branding on it, but hey, see if it works, see if it resonates with your customers.
Right. Even a thank you page, once people check out, a thank you message from you. Wouldn't that be great?
Yeah. There's so many things. I mean, and especially like if I'm a business and I'm selling something, say I'm like I'll use Etsy as an example, but say I make things, like it could be a personal message like, hey, thanks a lot for your purchase. I hope you're satisfied. Like it's showing the sincerity of the business to the customer. Like they're knowing, hey, you know what? Like, remember how like sometimes you buy stuff and there's like a tag in it. It'll say like, made by, and sometimes they put the person's name or like inspected by whatever. Like you could totally do some really cool things, I think, in your business by incorporating something like this. I think it's a really neat little tool. So Awesome. Very cool. Okay. So good thing is we're at the end of this week's show. Just a couple of quick notes, by the way, to wrap things up. First off, we've got an email newsletter, socialchefs.com/daily. Sign up for that. You'll get notified about this blog post. Thanks a lot, Troy, for doing that. That's awesome. I like that. I got to make you an animated GIF or something. So very cool. But Troy, what is the best place for people to get in touch with you?
Find Troy. Wait, other way. Find Troy. There you go. You'll find me everywhere. Internet. It's it's cool. So I'm here.
Fantastic. And Sarah, I want to thank you for being a guest. For guest co-hosting. You've done a fabulous job.
Sure. Thanks.
I got to say thank you so much. And I know you're worried about the background, and that doesn't bother me at all. It's worked out.
You
great.
Slayed. The value was rich. You were really the guest today. I got to give you was just dropping. I'm taking my notes in the background. So yes.
It's always a pleasure to listen to you guys. So thank you for having me. It's always great to share ideas and have a great conversation about what's happening in the news around social media.
So how can people get in touch with you?
So my social media handle is the same across the web. It is Sarah Monroe VT.
Very cool.
You can find me Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn.
Very cool. Yeah, I threw the Twitter one up because that was the handy one I had there. But yeah, make sure you go and connect with both of these people, both Troy and Sarah. Just fantastic individuals. And Sarah, again, thank you so much.
You're welcome. Thank you.
By the way, for those of you watching, it's her first time co-hosting with me on Social Chatter, and just literally got in touch with her yesterday. We chatted. So no, this has been really good. So just the couple of last points here. Don't forget blog post recap, socialchefs.com/SC276. That'll go out this weekend. 276. Yeah, we're getting quite up there. I think we'll hit 300 this year, actually, which will be awesome. Then don't forget also, by the way, next week's show is going to be at, I think I got the time right here. It's going to be with AJ Wilcox. So if you want to learn about LinkedIn ads, AJ is the man about LinkedIn ads. So we're going to have him on next Thursday, youtube.com/socialchefs or facebook.com/socialchefs. But I want to thank everyone for tuning in. And again, thanks everyone for just being fantastic guests and bringing on all this great information. But we will see you all on a future episode. Bye.
Great. Thanks. Bye.